Hey, if you wanted to know what some of the best training tools are for improving general fitness, but also brain health, if so, we're going to cover some of those in this series or in this video if you're a current client. If you're not yet, we'll send it out piece by piece. So my favorite is, first thing is a kettlebell. Got to have a kettlebell. Why is that? Well, our hips and biomechanics work in rotation. Our shoulders work and swing in rotation. And two of the primary joints that help us with locomotion and move us through the world are rotational in nature. And what is a kettlebell? Well, ergonomically it matches the human body because it's also rotational in nature. So it's awesome for generating strength and torque through the spine in a healthy, natural way, through the shoulder, through the hip as well, where a lot of our movement, again, comes from and initiates from. So kettlebells are awesome for that reason. When you train with a kettlebell consistently, there's also, I'll call it the WTH effect, the what the heck effect. And what is that? It's basically when we train consistently with kettlebells, working on strength and stamina, other stuff in life generally gets easier. If you're an athlete, people also get more athletic. Why is that? Again, I think it's because of how it naturally matches our human motion. And also it is just an amazing time-tested tool. It's been around for hundreds of years. It's been around for centuries. It's become a lot more popular as of late. Another training, this one's really more of a methodology that matches the kettlebell training, is what's called A&A. And this is really important. I think this is kind of what's coming up next in terms of health and fitness. And it's early on, but A&A is alactic and aerobic, and that comes from two of our three primary energy systems. So alactic and aerobic both have just significant importance for overall health and function. Aerobic capacity, we know there's a ton of research on keeping the brain healthy and keeping your heart, your cardiorespiratory system healthy. We got to train aerobic capacity. That's kind of like our zone 2. People think of it as steady state cardio. But what is the alactic system? Well, for athletes and especially our older adults, people 50 and up that we work a lot with, the alactic system is critical to train. We have to train it because it is basically the fast twitch muscle system. And so when we do something like we jump, we do a kettlebell swing, we do a kettlebell snatch, these faster movements are going to help us keep the health of our fast twitch muscles and keep the capacity there. Also great for bone density and nerve health. In the alactic system, it's driven by ATP and creatine phosphate, and so it does not produce lactate, alactic without lactate. So what's the third system? This is really important to catch here. The third system is the glycolytic system, and glycolysis is popular in the pop fitness culture. We see a lot of gyms, not going to mention any specific names, but there's a lot of gyms out there. The functional training gyms very commonly use Tabata methods. You've probably heard of that one. HIIT, high intensity interval training, or HIIT training. Everybody talks about the benefits of HIIT, and everybody talks about how great it is, and it can make you feel like you're working super hard. So that has to be effective, right? Maybe, but it's also pretty important to avoid. And here's why. In states like disease states, like diabetes, cancer, they've found super high levels of lactic acid and lactate. What does that mean? Well, in glycolysis, in that 10 seconds to 2 minutes of work, that energy system we're in there, we're actually producing a lot of lactic acid. So if you do that every once in a while, it's probably okay. And it's actually, with the kettlebell, there's some great things like the 5-minute swing test, the 5-minute snatch test, some good cardiac output, but glycolytic type tests for looking at our energy systems, our endurance, and our stamina. But we don't want to test every time. And just the same, in line with that thought, we don't want to go into glycolysis every workout. That should not be a foundation unless we're interested in disease states. And most people train because they want to get better, not worse. So we don't want to overstress the nervous system. That's A&A. So how do we tap into A&A? Fast movements for about 10 seconds, a good amount of rest, and then the next minute we're going to go hard and fast for 10 seconds again. So we get the aerobic benefit that way of a spike, and then what that averages out to is that cardiac output type training, which is 120 to 150 beats per minute with the heart rate. And that's typically where we wind up with the ANA model. So sweet combo, kettlebells and body weight